Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. It simply cannot be a coincidence. You know, like I always say, in the world of politics, there are no coincidences. Everything is done purposely, and obviously including these Trump indictments. It's hard to say exactly what the motive is, but clearly the motive is political in nature, and the timing of these indictment drops are certainly not coincidental. Donald Trump's lawyer in DC pointed something very interesting out, specifically the timing of these indictments. I want to have a conversation about that. I want to look at it at the whole picture. In the world of politics, there is no such thing as coincidence. That's the baseline assumption. We got some stuff to get into, folks. Let's roll the tape. All right, friends. Here is Donald Trump's attorney, Alina Habba, addressing reporters outside of the DC courthouse on Thursday when Trump was arraigned.
The fact that I am standing here for the third time in 5 months is not a coincidence. This is the Biden political lawfare that we have seen time and time again. It is a deflection from everything that they have done. And if you don't believe me, look at the facts. On March 17th, Hunter accidentally admits that it was his laptop from hell. The next day, DA Alvin Bragg indicts President Trump. June 8th, an FBI document is released showing that the Ukrainians paid the Biden crime family millions and millions of dollars. The next day, the Mar-a-Lago raid and the Mar-a-Lago indictment. Last week, Hunter Biden's sweetheart plea deal fell through when the judge realized it had blanket immunity. The following day, a superseding indictment against Donald Trump. July 31st, Devin Archer goes to testify in front of the House. That was only after they failed to put him in jail prior to the fact. What happens the next day? The January 6th indictment that we're here for today. This is not a coincidence. This is election interference at its finest against the leading candidate right now for president, for either party. President Trump is under siege in a way that we have never seen before. President Trump and his legal team and everyone on his team will continue to fight, not for him, but for the American people.
Folks, the timing doesn't make sense. It's too much of a coincidence. It's too perfect every single time. Here's a tweet that really puts it all into perspective visually. Andrew Clark writes, "This timeline is actually incredible. On March 16th, oversight reveals Biden family payments. On March 17th, Hunter Biden admits the laptop is his. On March 18th, literally the next day, the Manhattan District Attorney essentially confirms to Donald Trump that he's going to be indicted. On June 8th, FBI document the FD 1023, which we've covered extensively, alleges that Biden/Hunter were each bribed $5 million in a criminal bribery scheme. June 9th, classified document indictment. Donald Trump is indicted over supposed espionage charges. You know, the crime of holding his own presidential documents. July 26th, Hunter Biden's sweetheart plea deal collapses. July 27th, the special counsel's office announces additional classified document charges. July 31st, Devin Archer testifies it's absolutely damning for the Biden criminal regime, and literally the next day, Trump is indicted over this January 6th bogus charge. This cannot be coincidental. It literally cannot. And you know what? We're going to add one more very fishy instance. Ahead of the 2022 midterms, Democrats are in the gutter when it comes to polling data. A massive red tsunami is expected. Everyone's expecting it, whether you're Democrat or Republican. All election analysis experts form unanimous consent that Republicans are most likely headed to a massive victory. And what happens right before the election? Donald Trump's Mar-a-Lago home gets raided. All of a sudden, the news cycle shifts from the horrible economy and all of the issues resulting from out-of-control congressional spending to Donald Trump as a traitor, stealing classified documents, destroying documents, flushing them down the toilet bowl, people said. Or Maggie Haberman, rather, so dishonestly reported, it couldn't have possibly been coincidental. It's done on purpose, to interfere with the news cycle, but most importantly, interfere in the democratic process, to muddy the waters, to distract, divide, and stoke fear in the American electorate. And of course, the following revelation, what made that situation even worse, is that all the while, Joe Biden was guilty of the same thing, if not worse. Joe Biden was guilty of holding classified documents from the 1970s during his time as a sitting U.S. senator. Documents that he should have never been in possession of. There is no legal justification for him to be personally holding. Joe Biden was clearly guilty of stealing classified documents, and we learned after the fact that right as the FBI was raiding a former president's home, I think a month, maybe 2 months ahead of the midterm elections, they actually knew that Joe Biden was illegally in possession of classified documents. They chose to do nothing. They waited till after the election. You cannot convince me that it's just a series of coincidental events. You cannot convince me that that is the case. I mean, the timeline is spectacularly coincidental. It's purposeful, and we've seen the way that these rogue actors act behind the scenes, for instance, with the suppression of the Hunter Biden laptop story in peak election season, Biden officials, FBI agents, and CIA agents colluding behind the scenes to suppress key information in the midst of a presidential election only a couple months ahead of polls opening. Actually, I believe early voting had already started at the time. You can't tell me that that wasn't purposely orchestrated. I will never believe you. And I will never believe that these charges are legitimate either, because there's clearly no legal basis. Sure, I'm being a little bit of an armchair lawyer, but all the legal analysts that I trust to be fair on these issues, their analysis seems to confirm my view. There is no legal basis whatsoever to be charging Donald Trump in any of these cases, and especially not this one. Here's another moment with Donald Trump's lawyer.
Case is about free speech, but the special counsel says Trump could have disagreed with the results and talked about it. No crime there. The difference is what he did to try and switch the votes.
So what is it that he did to try and switch the votes that you referred to? By bringing cases? By using the law in an appropriate manner? Unlike what we're sitting here today seeing, this is not appropriate. What President Trump did is he said, go patriotically and peacefully and protest. That is an American right. That is why we are America and we are not a third world country. Although I will say that today, I don't feel very much like we are in America.
She's absolutely correct. Everything that Donald Trump did was by the book. Literally everything. There wasn't a violent attempt to overthrow the government, and certainly not one that Donald Trump organized. Even the FBI admitted that multiple times. Everything that Donald Trump did at the time was legal, following legal processes. You can't tell me that pursuing legal challenges is criminal, and you certainly can't tell me that political opinions, stances, and beliefs, because they aren't supported by the official narrative, are criminal. I'm not buying it. I'm sure most people aren't buying it. The only criminal that I see is Jack Smith, and of course the man behind him, who's probably at the helm of all of it, Piss Pants Joe. We have, last article, revealed Joe Biden pressured Merrick Garland to indict President Trump, his main political rival, who is beating him in the polls. The New York Times reported in March of 2023, in the past, Mr. Biden privately told his close circle of advisors that Mr. Trump posed a threat to democracy and should be prosecuted for his role in the events of January 6th, according to two people familiar with his comments. He also told confidants that he wanted attorney Merrick Garland to stop acting like a ponderous judge and to take decisive action. Banana Republic stuff here, folks. The current president of the United States is weaponizing the legal system to jail his political opponent who's beating him in the polls. Nothing is a coincidence. That's what I got for you guys. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to leave a like and possibly subscribe to the channel. You know we'd love to have you here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.